Today, I want to talk about a movie from 2015 called Natasha. The movie starts with a boy named Mark. Mark was at a party with his friends. After the party, Mark goes to a room with a girl, but she says no. Mark leaves quietly. When he gets home, he watches videos on his laptop and falls asleep. The next day, Mark's mom wakes him up and tells him his uncle is coming to visit, so he needs to get ready early. Next, we see Mark's uncle, who comes to Mark's house with his wife, Gina. Gina is from Russia. They were having dinner together when Mark's eyes fall on Gina's bra, which makes Mark start looking at Gina's bra. After dinner, Mark's mom tells him that Gina is going to Russia today because Gina had a previous marriage with whom she has a 14-year-old daughter. She will go to Russia to get her. A few days later, we see Mark's family picking up Gina at the airport. Gina comes with her daughter, Natasha. Mark meets Natasha for the first time. A few days later, Mark's uncle marries Gina. After the marriage, everyone comes to Mark's house and they party. Mark is here, looking only at Natasha. After the party is over, Mark brings Natasha to his room. Natasha asks, "What do you do most of the time in your room?" Mark tells Natasha that he plays video games and studies. Natasha asks, "Have you ever brought a girl to your room and gotten physical with her?"
А девочки сюда водишь?
Mark calms down after listening to Natasha and says, "You are only 14 years old. How can you talk about being physical at such a young age? Don't you feel embarrassed about all these?" Natasha says, "No, I do not feel embarrassed about all these things because I've been physical with more than 100 people.
Дело раз 100.
And if you feel like it, you too can be physical with me." Mark says, "Your mom has married my uncle because of which you are my cousin's sister." Hearing this, Natasha says, "I don't care. Anyway, my mom is a very cheap woman because I've seen her getting physical with others many times." Mark suddenly goes silent and doesn't say anything. One day, Mark's mom comes to him and tells him that Natasha has come to this city for the first time. Because of this, she does not know much about the things here, and she doesn't have any friends here. That's why until Natasha makes someone her friend here, you stay with her. Anyway, she seems to be your cousin's sister. The next day, Mark comes to Natasha's house where Natasha's mom tells Mark about Natasha and says, "Natasha is still a little girl, so if she says something wrong to you, don't be angry with her." Natasha's mom asks Natasha to open the door. Natasha opens the door, then her mom asks her to get ready and go out with Mark. But Natasha, angry at her mother, leaves the room. Mark also goes after Natasha. Mark asks Natasha, "Why were you angry with your mom?" Natasha tells him that she does not like her mother at all. Rather, she hates her a lot. Mark talks to Natasha here, and he brings her to one of his friends, Rufus's house. Natasha loves meeting Rufus. Natasha asks Mark about Rufus.
А он там один живет?
Mark tells Natasha that Rufus lives here alone because a few days ago his parents went on a trip to another city. After this, Mark and Natasha come to a restaurant and have dinner. Mark leaves Natasha at his house. Natasha tells Mark, "Don't you come to my house tomorrow because tomorrow I myself will come to your house." The next day, when Mark was studying in his house, Natasha comes to meet him at his house. Both sit and talk to each other and then go out for a walk by bicycle. Mark meets some of his friends on the way and he gives them drugs. Seeing that, Natasha learns that Mark has drugs. So when she comes home, she asks Mark for drugs.
А ты знаешь, чем ты занимаешься? Переживай, не разболтаем.
Не очень, но не меньше, чем на другой летней работе.
Mark also gives drugs to Natasha. Both of them sit in the room and take drugs. Natasha asks Mark for his laptop and Mark gives her permission to use his laptop. As soon as Natasha opens the laptop, she sees adult videos playing on the laptop. Actually, Mark was watching these adult videos, but he forgot to turn it off. Natasha enjoys watching these videos. Natasha opens her Facebook profile on her laptop and starts showing her private photos to Mark. Seeing the photos, Mark's weapon stands up. Natasha says, "Would you like to be physical with me?"
Ты хочешь?
Before Mark says anything, Natasha starts taking off her clothes, due to which Mark becomes physical in his room with Natasha. After getting physical, both of them start liking each other and spend more and more time with each other. Both of them are physical several times a day. Mark is slowly starting to get attracted to Natasha. One day, Mark's uncle and Natasha's mom go on a trip, due to which Natasha has to stay at Mark's house. Mark and Natasha are in the room together and talk. Natasha says that she enjoys being with Mark and wishes she could stay here forever.
Я хотела бы здесь всё время быть.
Mark says, "Yes, why not? You can stay here as long as you want." Natasha sadly tells Mark that her mom is cheating on Mark's uncle because her mom still goes to visit another man. Natasha says that she told her uncle everything about it, but they didn't believe her words at all. Next, we see Mark's uncle and Natasha's mom who just got back home from the trip. Natasha's mom asks Natasha to go home with her, but Natasha says that she doesn't want to leave because she enjoys being here. Natasha's mom says, "I know why you don't want to leave here, and I know all the things you have done with Mark."
Вижу, что происходит у тебя с этим мальчиком.
Позвоню! Я сообщу соседям, что у вас тут происходит!
On hearing this, Natasha starts fighting with her mother, but Mark's father catches Natasha. Natasha was very angry with her mom. Mark's mom and dad scold Natasha a lot, due to which Natasha has to go back home with her mom. The next day, Mark comes to meet Natasha at her house where Natasha's mom tells Mark, "Son, it is not your fault, but Natasha is a spoiled girl whose habits are quite dirty. She has become physical with many old people as well as young people." Saying this, Natasha's mom closes the door and asks Mark to leave. Mark leaves from there. This night, Natasha comes to Mark's house with all her belongings. Natasha tells Mark that she is going back to her city. "So will you go with me?"
Хочешь, поехали со мной?
Hearing this, Mark does not say anything. After Natasha tells that her mom has got divorced from her uncle because she was getting physical with your uncle, and while getting physical, my mom saw me and I wanted it so that there would be a fight between my mom and your uncle so that my mom wouldn't marry your uncle. Mark doesn't say anything. He leads Natasha into the room. Natasha will leave tomorrow. Mark is saddened by this because he fell in love with Natasha. In the morning, Mark gives Natasha some money so she can leave without any trouble. Then Natasha quietly leaves, taking her things. Later, there is a discussion at Mark's house about his uncle's divorce and why Gina divorced Mark's uncle. Mark knows the whole truth but doesn't tell anyone. After a few days, Mark's friend Rufus calls but Mark doesn't answer. One day, Mark goes to Rufus's house. There he sees Natasha, who is now living with Rufus. Rufus tells Mark, "I called many times to tell you about Natasha, but you didn't pick up." Natasha looks at Mark and Mark looks at her angrily.
She thinks you betrayed her. Okay, she's safe here.
That's one way to look at it, yeah.
Okay, don't be mad, okay? This isn't personal.
Fuck you, Rufus.
Mark realizes that their love was just a lie. He takes his bicycle and leaves angrily. Natasha just watches him go. When Mark gets home, he thinks about Natasha and the movie ends. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. See you in the next video.